So is our Lisa and Bill coming?
Our Bijan, a little.
Yes.
Bijan, a Newfoundland. It's crossed, so it's a slightly smaller than 90 pounds. And the Bijan rules, and it's just so, you're like, I'm just going, and then you can just pass out.
And papers we can do.
So this is my first time.
Good. I'll show you the photos.
Hello.
As you've got a background filter running the background. Yeah. Video settings. It's live. Based on 2021 for finance
So we did join them.
I
We have to, because they didn't finish our
HVAC.
I didn't like working with these. I switched from that.
Yes, ma'am. Are we voting on that tonight? Yes.
We don't have to.
See if you'll make that back. I'll bring it up.
Okay, and I gave Bill.
Yeah.
He had a quote.
We gave it to that. Make a motion.
Yes.
And I don't anyway.
We'll just do it, John.
No, I want it.
Come on. You should do that. A little bit.
That we can put chairs over here in the corner.
You got it. That's right. Keep it our quiet. Nice sitting with you. I don't. Need a table.
I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Columbia Board of Selectmen to order Tuesday, February 7th, in the year 2023 at 7 p.m. First thing I need to do is to tell you that this is a hybrid public meeting. The public can attend in person or electronically. The public may view the recording of the meeting on YouTube at Town of Columbia CT. Please allow 48 business hours after the meeting for the video to be published For input, whether here or on Zoom, please raise your hand during the audience of citizens, or if you are called upon by the first selectman as a subject matter expert. So we'll check public input. That should be in electronically 24 hours in advance. I ask whether you're here or on Zoom, when you make your comments. You be respectful. Ask or tell us your comments, and we will listen. If anybody becomes unruly, we will ask you to leave. Second order of business, please join me and rise for our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Mark, you need somebody to help get probably.
I got a card out.
Ms. Mark isn't voting on the next things, the approval of the agenda. I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Ready to go? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, thank you. And we're good with recording. Audience of citizen? Anybody have comments that's not on the agenda tonight, or would like to say something? Jurors, you're all dismissed. Thank you. Seeing none, very good, we'll move along, I hope. Last week or 2 weeks ago, approval of the minutes. Yeah, thank you. That's why I was gonna do that, and I'm thinking we need to. So I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes for January 17th, 2023. That's good, because it comes into our great action. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Old business. 2 weeks ago, we did approve ARPA funding for the remaining balance for the Columbia Volunteer Fire Department, the self-contained breathing apparatus equipment that we needed. So, I move to approve the balance of $87,740 to fund the remaining balance of the Columbia Volunteer Fire Department self-contained breathing apparatus from the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, for the general fund, I apologize for putting this out there. In discussion, we should talk about where we want to take it from the general fund or the American Rescue Act. So, and I will amend my my motion when we discuss.
I'm thinking the American Rescue money, we still have enough there. To,
But it would essentially complete it, leaving a couple thousand available, right? I think we're at like nine.
how much would we have left?
So we probably have about, after things are done, my guess is around $20,000 to $25,000 balance.
Right, okay.
Including tables.
Yes. Whether we, first of all, we need to fund that.
Sure.
That's a given. We voted on it, we're gonna fund it.
Correct.
Take it out of the general fund. We have to go to a meeting for the general
General
fund on
fund,
that because of the
to
dollars. Okay,
Town meeting.
Or town meeting.
yeah. Because of the size. Or we can do ARPA and get it through. You know, honestly, this ARPA money's been godsend in some respect. I hate to say that because the COVID and everything was devastating. And it affected a lot of people, but it has given us money to get some things and do some things that the town has needed. Every town, everywhere across the country, at an expense, don't. I'm not saying it's free money, at an expense, okay? But the Columbia Fire Department, one way or another, we're gonna fund this. And on the second hand is when the town has needed something, truly needed something, I don't care where, what department, when it is truly needed. I don't think we've ever really denied it. We'll go to the general fund. I don't think we're ever afraid to go before the people and say, we believe this, it's needed. And this is what we decide to ask you to vote for. So I don't think we hurt either way. Question is. General or ARPA? I'm gonna say ARPA.
Yeah,
I
we've gotta use it, and if we need something
Can I ask
else.
this question? So looking at the quote, looks like it expired on the 30th of December, so are we confident that they extended it? Or do we need to get a new quote?
We cut a PO the whole price.
Okay.
Yeah, they knew, it's ordered, the stuff is ordered, we just gotta, so, because this is a core requirement for them to have these things.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doubting it. I want to make sure that we have.
That's why we cut it one way or another.
Okay.
So, all right, I'm going to amend my motion. I move to approve the balance of $87,740 to fund the remaining balance of the Columbia Volunteer Fire Department self-contained breathing apparatus from the American Rescue Plan Act. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. All those opposed? No. Good. Committee membership on the Economic Development Committee. What do we? I also, as Bill O'Brien brought up, we have people in town who have businesses in town, who pay taxes in town, but do not live in town, but they're business people and they want to help by contributing to the Economic Development Committee by being a member. Our charter says no. Change the charter.
Well, that is a subject. It will probably, eventually it'll have to be reviewed because we are.
I'm not sure that the charter says no, because it requires electors for town agencies. And town agencies are basically the boards, various boards and commissions that are out here that usually you're elected to or appointed to if there's a vacancy there. But committees are different because of the fact that number one, we usually, as a board of selectmen, appoint people to the various committees. And if the committees take any particular action, we also approve their action. So there really isn't a need to require that. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna take somebody from out in left field and put them on a committee, but I should point it out, Steve, if somebody's from town, they got a business here, why not let them serve on the committee? And if, they're not gonna, it's not the same as an elector. It's not the same as serving on a commission like the Board of Selectmen or the Zoning Board of Appeals or whatever else. Those are the agencies. And if you look carefully at the charter, refers to specified agencies, and that's why I think there's a difference here. So I think you could do it under the charter. I think the town attorney also reviewed it and agrees. Is that correct?
Yes, and he said at the next charter revision, you should probably also modify it because it says anyone who's appointed to an office such as a fire marshal needs to be an elector, but animal patrol needs to be an elector. So we have to fix that eventually. It's any appointed position needs to be an elector, and that's not the case with employees.
I hate to limit it to just economic development, because I know when we use services committee, we have people who would, you'd have a superintendent or the principal or somebody somebody from AHM.
Or the rec director, and none of them were electors.
Yeah, I was also concerned because I saw on the town website that you're talking about, terms and odd and even years and everything like that as far as various committees. I really think it's a mistake. If we can get somebody to serve on a committee you should lower any kind of barriers to get them on there and keep them on there rather than to create problems and knock them out. It's hard enough to get volunteers as it is.
The only other point I want to make is, Bill, you brought it up, is that we just don't let anybody on these committees. They have to be nominated, and the Board of Selectmen have to approve the people who we place on these committees. So I agree with you, that's a good point, so. In saying that, if we have members for committees, nominate them, bring them forth, and we'll talk about it and put them on. We want to talk about why this was, we don't want to talk about why this was brought up. Do we want to talk about that member and see if we want it, or we're gonna put it?
But I'll talk to Ron while he's the chairman of the committee and see how he wants to proceed. But it was an issue that we had discussed at the last meeting, and I promised him I'd bring it up to the board.
Great, all right, thank you. Okay. Approval of the charge for the Horace Porter School HVAC Building Committee. Now, this is, first of all, most of the committee is here, and we thank you very much for not only doing this every Monday, getting together, but sticking around here because you are the subject matter expert, so if any questions come up, we'll probably ask you. So this is for the $1.8 million for the HVAC upgrading, replacement and or upgrading of the HVAC system and indoor air quality improvements at Horace Porter School, England. All right, so. You want me to read this and just have people answer? I mean, have the board ask questions and stuff?
Has everyone had a chance to read the charge? I think the building committee has gone over it many, many times. They've modified it. They've added 6 more whereases to clearly define what problems they're trying to solve.
I don't know if it matters if we go in the order, because 6.3 is to approve the charge. And 6.4 was the resolution for the,
So
I don't know if it matters.
this is the charge we're talking about.
Right, oh, we're talking about that now, okay,
Right.
sorry. I thought we were talking together. We were talking about the resolution.
Well,
The board has any specific areas of the charge they want to discuss.
this is the charge, right?
This. Go to.
Old business?
6.3.
Under old business. Next, there you
Okay. So Columbia Board of Education adopt and implement an indoor air quality. That's the bottom line. That's what we need over there. But the truth of it is, we need to eradicate moisture, which is causing mold to build up in the classrooms. That's the first thing. The other thing is heating and ventilation. So Tools for Schools Indoor Air Quality Program, which includes a framework for effective IAQ, indoor air quality management, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, control of moisture and mold, integrated pest management, effective cleaning and maintenance, smart material selection, source control, and energy efficiency. Anybody want to add or have questions about that?
I thought it looked pretty complete from what I understand about this.
Except a majority of this is a majority of what we're asking in for money is an air, basically purification system, a ventilation and a whole intake and discharge within seconds of outdoor air, purified, filtered, run through the classrooms, heated in the winter and cooled in the summer. and then it's brought out through the ventilation system. What's the turnover time on air? Anybody know that? Yes, Guy.
ASHRAE 62, which is gonna be the big code that you're gonna have to follow, is gonna require 15 CFM per person, per student. So, it's quite a bit of air. And once you add it all up.
When you state those numbers and everything, is the state gonna force every school in the state to put in these filtration systems, no matter the age or?
From my understanding, yes.
Mike just stated that they came up with a rule that we have to close our gyms if the temperature goes over 85 degrees or under 65 degrees.
And send them outside to play in the summer?
I guess they magically sent home.
I'm sorry, I get a little sarcastic sometimes because I don't understand. I mean, I play outside at 90 degrees and stuff, but, okay. How often does it get over 85 in the gym? I know that's not on here, but let me ask you, how often? Summertime?
Well, in August,
Yeah. We're not really,
when we start
yeah,
school, September can be that way, October,
okay, so now we're looking,
June.
talking about school now, but are you telling me the state's gonna force us to do it?
It's in the bill that they passed in July.
Starting the school year.
Okay, honestly, I mean, our hands are kind of tied, so why don't we just send it to the town? I don't understand how the town could deny it if they're gonna, we may be able to deny it this time around, but eventually we're going to have to vote on it, right? Is that what we're saying?
To be in compliance, we have that.
And if we're not in compliance, they shut our school down. And they bust them all over the state,
Right
and
now
now they
they-
charge us for it.
Right now, they said they closed, the gym has to be closed over 85.
What's the gym? Sitting outside and let them play
I
outside.
don't think they're done. Unfortunately.
I mean, this kind of goes through it, and this is the charge. I've read it. Is anybody, if nobody has any questions on it, I'm okay in my vote to approve the charge here. It doesn't. Ventilation, I mean, it says ventilation there, so that kind of handles what I was looking for. Any other discussion on it? All right, so I move to approve the charge for the Horace Porter School HVAC Building Committee. This is what they have to fulfill when they're putting together what we need. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now they're going to approve $1.8 million. So Mark tells me I don't have to read the whole thing. I'm gonna be honest with you, there's something in here that I have to read this. So, resolution appropriating $1.8 million from the town of Columbia General Fund for the installation replacement, the indoor upgrading of the HVAC system, and the indoor air quality improvements at the Horace W. Porter School A-Wing. Calling a special town meeting, establishing a date for the referendum, and authorizing preparation of exploratory text. Resolved that the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Columbia hereby adopts and recommends to the electors and citizens eligible to vote at a town meeting of the Town of Columbia the following. That the Town of Columbia appropriate the sum of $1.8 million from the general fund to the Town of Columbia Capital Project Horace W. Porter HVAC Improvements Account 20-6205-015 for costs related to the purchase, installation, remediation, repair, upgrade, and/or replacement of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, system equipment, and other indoor air quality improvements, including without limitation, the upgrading of electrical systems and the implementation of moisture control measures at the Horace W. Porter School A-Wing. We call the project. The appropriation may be spent for design, manufacture, installation, replacement, construction costs, equipment, materials, electrical costs, roof work, duct work, preparation of bid documents, grant applications, cost estimate, repairs, reports and studies, informational materials, and other preliminary materials, studies and reports, the preparation of schematic drawings, plans and specifications, site work, architecture fees, engineer and designer fees, architectural fees, and legal fees, and other expenses related to the project. The board is authorized to determine the scope and particulars of the project. The board may reduce or modify the scope of the project. Probably not. And the entire appropriation authorized hereby may be spent on the project as so reduced or modified. So if we see something, once it comes back in, other businesses saying, no, you don't need that, we will be able to modify the amount. That said, appropriation for the project shall be funded from grants, undesignated fund balance, and or other sources of funds received by the town for the project, provided that in no event shall less than 40%, remember that number, please, 40% of the entire appropriation approved hereby be funded with grant monies received from the state of Connecticut and or such other granting entity. That the first selectman or his designee is hereby authorized on behalf of the town to execute any contracts with engineers, contractors, architects, and other persons for the project. That the first selectman or his designee is authorized on behalf of the town to apply for and accept state grants to fund the appropriation for the project, and to execute and file any application or enter into any grant agreement prescribed by the state of Connecticut related to such grants. That the first selectman or his designee and other proper officers of the town are authorized to take all other actions which are necessary or desirable to complete the project consistent with the foregoing. That this resolution shall become effective after approval at a referendum vote. Further resolved that the board hereby calls a special town meeting of the town to be held on Wednesday. There's a correction there, Wednesday, February 15th, the year 2023 at Yeoman's Hall, 323 Route 87, Columbia, Connecticut at 6:30 p.m. and submits the foregoing resolution for the project, hereby called the resolution, to the electors and citizens eligible to vote at the town meetings of the town. At said town meeting, the notice of such meeting to be published as required by the Connecticut General Statutes and the Town Charter. Further resolved that the board, pursuant to section 7-7 of the Connecticut General Statutes, as amended, and the Town Charter hereby removes the resolution on the call of the special town meeting for submission to qualified voters for a yes or no vote by paper ballot on Thursday, February 23rd, year 2023, during the hours of 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Yeoman's Hall, 323 Route 87, Columbia, Connecticut, in the manner provided by the town charter and the Connecticut General Statutes, and that the town clerk be directed to post and publish notice of such referendum in accordance with provisions of the town charter and the Connecticut General Statutes, which notice shall state the question to be voted on as follows. And water. Shall the resolution entitled Resolution Appropriating $1.8 million from the Town of Columbia General Fund for the installation, replacement, and or upgrading of HVAC system and indoor air quality improvements at the Horace W. Porter School A wing be approved? Yes or no? The ballot label for said question shall read as follows. Shall the town appropriate $1.8 million from the Town of Columbia General Fund for HVAC system and air quality improvements at Horace W. Porter School A wing? Yes or no? Moderator of such special town meeting shall adjourn such meeting after reasonable discussion of such resolution and the conclusion of other business as may properly come before the special town meeting, and order such a vote by paper ballot in accordance with this resolution and the town charter in section 7-7 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Further resolved that the board hereby authorizes the preparation, printing, and explanatory text in accordance with section 9-369B of Connecticut General Statutes. For the question to be voted on upon approval hereby. Subject to the approval of the town attorney, the board further authorizes the preparation, printing of materials concerning the question to be voted upon hereby, in addition to the explanatory text in accordance with section 9-369 Bravo of the Connecticut General Statutes. At a meeting of the Board of Selectmen on February 7th, 2023, on a motion duly made by board member Stephen M. Everett, the foregoing resolutions could be adopted by the following for a roll call. All right, so. So an ask for favor and opposed, am I asking that question or just the whole thing?
That's what they'll ask to the board.
Okay, all those in favor?
Would you want to change that 40%?
Yes. So we okay, yes, let's discuss this. So let's discuss a couple of things. In paragraph 2, it says the town for the project, provided that no event shall less than 40% of the entire appropriation. 40%. We didn't have a number of what the state was going to set the grant. If we get it, apparently we now have a number, 51%. I did some numbers this weekend, okay? Even if we put 51% there, even if it says 40%. If this comes in any higher, even if the costs, the bids come in higher, and we've heard that it could be 20% higher than the 1.8.
No, we calculated that into 1.8. Correct, Mike?
Right. I was at a meeting Monday night a week ago. And it said in the paperwork, $2.25 million. I guarantee I heard it because I wrote it down right away. Because of inflation, this 1.8 could be 2.25. I'm just saying, if we put 40% or 51, and it comes in where we only get 51% of 1.8, it may not, it may not fit the amount that we need to get it through. And it's a point where brighter people than me will see it, okay? That's number one. So are you happy with the 40%? And I wouldn't even go with the 51, because you're right, the state, nothing is guaranteed with the state. If it comes in at 2.25. And they give us even 49%. That's less than 40%, 2.25, I believe, by about $30,000, but it's less. Just to let you know. But I need to know what number you want to put there.
So we chose the 40 just so it means you have to get a grant,
Okay,
but we weren't sure where the numbers were to come out, so we didn't want to be precise.
So if we don't get the grant, then we're not obligated to follow through.
No, the whole thing, we're starting.
Right, and if the pricing comes in over 1.8 million, right, doesn't the language allow us to modify, maybe de-scope some things to get under, because I mean, if I'm understanding the resolution, regardless of how much grant we get, if it's a penny over 1.8 million, technically we can't.
We can figure out what to do.
technically, we only get whatever percentage of 1.8. We can pay beyond that because it's our money, because of inflation, we may get hurt by that. I don't think they care if we pay another $500,000 as a state.
But from a referendum sake, we're not bound by the 1.8 million ceiling, you're saying that could.
I don't know. Are we? Because we put 1.8 in
Yeah,
there?
you can't. We're going to referendum because anything over 500,000 has to be a
Right.
referendum.
But we're asking for 1.8.
Right, so I don't think you can go over that without another referendum.
Without another, current.
And we're claiming in the referendum question, or in the details of our charge, that we're expecting a grant, otherwise we're starting over.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more time.
May I point out something?
Yeah,
I
please.
just crunched numbers real quick. If we do 40% of 1.8, we pay, the difference would be if it comes in at 225 and we get 51%, the difference between the 40% of the 1.8 and the 51% of the 2.25 is $67,000. If I didn't know that.
So basically, I
It's-
said 30. I didn't know it was 51%. I used 49, so we're about the same. I'm just telling you, there's holes here. So so just know that if we go and we put in for a grant based on $1.8 million. If it goes over, you could scratch the project.
Or start over, we could still continue and hire a design team and try to really quantify and design a solution, but we wouldn't be funding one yet.
I'm concerned getting back to basics here. I just learned 15 minutes ago that there's a statute out there that is supposedly tying our hands. I haven't seen it. Yeah, this is the first time I heard about it, and we're being told that we have to make this decision because there's a requirement. I've never seen that statute. I have a hard time just being told this, you have to follow the statute, your hands are tied.
You want to ask Barbara or Mike?
I don't know if you have a copy of it. I haven't seen it.
I mean, I've got a copy of the presentation. I mean, it's basically a public act. 22-118, which talks to the grant, but it basically is overseen by the Department of Administrative Services. So you basically have to go to the Department of Administrative Services to go through the details as far as the grant and how they administer all that.
The good news is this that we're asking about, the 1.8, it wasn't based on that.
Was that?
No, that's new to gymnasium.
And here,
That was news to us
so
tonight.
also this evening, I have a hard time. We have a very competent, and I've sat in a couple of meetings with the the committee, okay? 3 of them, 4 of them, 3 of them have been their own HVAC businesses for many, many years. We've talked to other schools who have a different system in there. We've talked to, we've taken a look around the building during a rainstorm and everything and saw puddles gathering outside the foundation of the A-wing. There's a lot of stuff that we have to look at. I have a lot of questions on this system because I'm told air purification, you suck it in, you heat it in the winter, you cool it in the summer. It purifies it for the children, it goes through the classroom, and then it gets sucked out through the ventilation system. It's basically a continuous flow of clean air going through there, and it helps with heat and air conditioning. It seems like a lot to eradicate moisture and mold. So that statute there may put some solid backing to the charge and what they're looking at, the system that this BVH or whoever it was, the system they put forward 2 years ago when this was first brought to the attention by the school and the school being mold in the classrooms down there. This is to start the ball. So we can get different firms to be able to see what the problem is and come with different recommendations, if there are different ones, and they may all come with the same one. But the bottom line is, starts it. And if it comes in over 1.8, or if we don't get the grant, the paperwork that the town attorney puts together, or did put together, says we don't have to accept it. We okay there? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of the process of looking at the,
Right.
system at the school.
But it's a big step in the process.
It is a big step in the
It's
process.
the old part of the building, it's not the whole building, it's just the A-wing.
Yeah. Believe me, my wife said to me, we're driving back from Pennsylvania. And she says, if it was your grandkids, what would you do? I get it.
I get
Okay.
them rolled out.
I get it. But I want answers when I go before the board. And this starts the,
It
this
starts-
does,
We have the building committee to help out.
this doesn't.
Um,
Well, I hate the price tag. But we don't know. Until we get different firms to say, we can do it with this, we can do it with this, we can do it with this. And then the committee and everybody else takes a look at it. So I don't,
I think it starts the
so
process. Bill.
there's some holes.
So I was wrong. Imagine that. The town at 60%, which is what this says, of 1.8 is 1,080,000. The town at 49% is 1,102,500, which is a difference of $22,500.
So it was a little close. But yeah,
So it's, if we do get 51% of the larger, it's not huge.
but we could get 51% if we put it in at $2.2 million. But we didn't know that when we put this in. So, okay, so here we are. Are we moving this so we can get this all together and
Yeah, I make a motion that we, how do I say it?
Then Steve made a motion and read the whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
The motion is this resolution
I must. So if there's no more discussion
with the changes noted.
with the changes noted.
What are your thoughts on this? Very pushing the spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm certainly in favor of it. I mean, as being part of the, committee, I think, we've got a great group, certainly, few of them, like Steve said, you own or have owned their own HVAC systems. To me, I think it's a step, it's an opportunity to get essentially half of the project paid for if the grant's approved.
That's right.
If we don't get the grant approved, we don't have any obligation, or we cannot move forward currently as is. So, I mean, I'm in favor of it. I think it's a step, and I think like we continue to learn new requirements coming through the state legislature, unfortunately, or underfunded, for, air filtration and ventilation and now it sounds like temperature, but different wing, different, it doesn't really, pertain to the A wing per se, but, I mean, I'm in favor of it.
Thanks.
So before I go with the yay or nay. You said 1.8. I asked, I thought it was 225, but they said 1.8. They've added for that. So to be fair, and do we make it no less than 51% as the grant?
Is that 51 a hard number? Or is that who knows?
Based on a graph of every town in the state and what we're, if we're to receive the grant, what we would get.
Where'd you get that from?
Where'd you find it? It popped up yesterday.
I mean,
So I went around into the Department of Administrative Services, which is overseeing the grant along with the school construction. Yes. Partner or something of the EAS. And so they just published the grant, the reimbursement rates So the 51% or whatever it is on the chart is for general construction. And then the other one was, I think, new construction, which we're not considering, it would be considered new construction.
This is add-on, repair, replace. Okay.
So this is right now, I believe that should be the percent that we will get. Is it subject to change? Of course it is. But 51% of $1.8 million is higher than we thought, because the last amount we saw was 20 years, it was a 20 years ago number, so
Yeah.
this was just, it was recently published, so. And it says it was audited and all that stuff, so I assume it's a go with this. I think that's the number Coventry was using too. And
And
then-
Coventry is supposed to get 59.64. We got more than 1.79.
We got less. 51 is less. than
Cromwell's.
59.
No, Coventry is 59.64% of the project will be funded.
So they got more.
Oh, they got more, yeah, we're 51.
It's probably size. I think it
Size
might
of
be
the
related with the-
But
Exactly.
So if I can just maybe just elaborate, because when you look at the Public Act 22-118, which establishes it basically says the percentage shall be determined by its ranking. Such ranking shall be determined by each town ranked in descending order from 1 to 169 according to its adjusted equalized net grand list per capita as defined in section 10.61 of the general statutes of the town 2, 3, and 4 years prior to the fiscal year in which the application was made based upon ranking. So I guess my point is, I'd err on the side of not having it as close to 51%, because who knows, this could be updated based upon who gets, who had their applications in first, the size of their project, because it's a finite grant in the end that's available.
Right.
what do you think we got? I think 40 is low, very low.
I think 45, that'd be good.
45.
It's basically your stopgap that you're getting a grant.
Like to amend this book. When paragraph 2, provided that in no event shall less than 40. Bill, you okay with 45?
Sure.
You guys are soft. 45%. Okay. Is there anything else? So. All those in favor of this? What do you call it, setting the resolution? Moving forward with the resolution with the amended 45% and the day, Wednesday,
February 15th,
February 15th.
town meeting, special town.
All those in favor, moving forward?
Aye.
Aye.
So 5.
Opposed?
You get 5 yes.
New business.
Just make a motion to approve the legal notice. And we gotta make the same change in legal notice, and then we'll sign it. We'll print out a new one, so Wednesday.
I, Stephen M. Everett, duly elected and qualified first selectman of the town of Columbia. Hereby certify that the foregoing is a true copy of the resolutions adopted at the meeting of the Board of Selectmen held on February 7th in the year 2023, authorizing an appropriation of $1.8 million from the town of Columbia General Fund for certain HVAC and indoor air quality improvements at the Horace W. Porter School A Wing, calling a special town meeting, establishing a referendum date, and authorizing the preparation of explanatory text. That said board consists of 5 members. A quorum consists of 3 members. 5 members were present at the said meeting. Roll call vote was taken, and 5 members voted in favor of the said resolutions, with 0 members voting against the adoption of the said resolution, and 0 members abstaining from voting on said resolutions. Dave in Columbia, Connecticut, this 7th day of February, in the year 2023. We're gonna have a meeting, so we're gonna send it around.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we're gonna send a legal notice now for your change. Based on the rest of it.
Okay, new business. After that. National opioid settlements. Okay. If you haven't seen I'm in pharmaceuticals, so I really take this very seriously. If you haven't seen the Netflix documentary show, whatever, Dope Sick or something, you ought to see it. It's about the opioid addiction in this country and the pharmaceutical company that was behind it and how they led this country down a path of really almost no return. Okay, and to me, the fact that they're still in business means we didn't penalize them enough, but that's my editorial here. So the state, other states joined in and went against a couple of pharmaceutical, some people who distributed the medication through prescriptions that were written CVS, Walgreens and Walmart, and there has been a settlement on that. So there is, excuse me. There may be some settlements, it may be all done, and we'd like to get in on it, because we should pay. I move to authorize the first selectman, Stephen Everett, to sign and join the opioid settlement agreement. It's all written right here. Again, it's not, whatever they have to pay, it's not enough, in my opinion. Any questions on this? We have to get it in by April 18th. But I think that we should be in on this, so any discussion? All those in favor of joining this? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Columbia's participation in Lebanon Municipal Solar Project. Mark.
This just came to light. Lebanon requested our assistance. They're going for a large solar array. This is the next phase from Z-Rex as a way to involve municipalities in large solar plants, and all the electricity goes straight to our source. The towns get a revenue portion back. Lebanon doesn't have enough electric usage to use up the entire allotment, so they've asked Columbia to just join the agreement to finish the small bit that they need to qualify for this solar project. We're still working. The contract was very extensive, and I had the attorneys review it, and they said, this is really Lebanon's contract. Just give us we're just joining in as a silent partner contract, which is very minimal. I haven't gotten that back yet. And the total revenue per year to come is only $2,000. So I don't want to spend a lot of legal fees reviewing or rewriting a contract just for $2,000, but I want to try to help Lebanon qualify for this project if we can. So I'll bring it at the next board select meeting once we get more clarity.
So I have a question for you. If we don't partner with them, they don't get this?
I think what they would do is go to another neighboring town. Because
Would they like to partner with Ajax? Just check out.
this just popped up like last week. so
Whatever.
It's
You take
very,
care of each other.
and if we can help, I'd like to.
Where are they putting such a big deal?
I don't know. But this is the contract they just sent.
So we need a motion for you to be able to join in there?
Well, we wait till the next board select meeting to see what I find out, whether we're even going to participate.
All right. Next in new business is engaging Updike, Kelly and Lacey for bond counsel services. I hate this. So Mark has done business with them through another position he held in a different unnamed location. And And that's fine. He showed me some things. Their pricing is different. They're well known. He's used them before. He highly recommends them. We have used a different firm for cleanup duty. Basically, right? The cleanup duty.
Right, our previous bond counsel sold his business to Pullman County. And they did the final filing for a debt elimination. We did.
I personally, I wanted to notify them and give them the opportunity to adjust prices, or if it's a bid program or whatever, but, Marcus said that in looking at pricing apples to apples, he's
Well, I can tell the board.
qualified, he says that Updike Kelly and Spalacy, for bond counsel, their prices are, their fees are much lower than Pullman County, right?
Right.
So. I'm trying to ask you to.
You needed bond counsel to write this. They actually wrote the resolution with, working with the building committee and myself last week. So when you're funding a large financial project to a referendum, you use bond counsel. If you're bonding, you really need bond counsel, because then they have to write all the language and work with a financial firm to help you actually go out to the market and sell your bond. So it even gets more complicated.
So at this point, it's just to write up the resolution for a referendum.
Right, he would be billing us big hourly, not as a fixed amount.
Tell her to cut back on the whereas.
No, that was Chris. Our other lawyer in the midst.
I didn't see any here heretofore, so I was
Chris loves whereas.
Yeah, okay. Everybody, any questions about the funding, and I mean, not the funding, but the fees and stuff? You gave that to all of them? No. Nobody has a problem not contacting the last mock up group who did it for us. Okay. I move to engage with Michael Patello from Updike Kelly and Spalacy for bond counsel services. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Columbia Lake, the dam, the beach,
Yeah.
it's rising. So. Appointments and resignations. We got a few. So I'd like to appoint Guy Waniger, yep. To the horse, you may reconsider. You're a fair guy, I'm on walk now, you know.
What's the first YouTube, almost that.
Appoint Guy Waniger to the Horace Forest School HVAC Building Committee. Like Bill said, if they're gonna volunteer, hang on to them, right? So, I move to approve the appointment of Guy to the Horace W. Port HVAC Building Committee. Any questions? Any questions you have? What's your background?
HVAC owner for 30-something years.
Okay. Very good. Is it up for us?
In the retirement phase right now.
Anybody else?
You're nice.
All those in favor, Guy?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Put your hand on that. Thank you very much. Listen, if nothing else, we like to have fun. Appointment to Mark Walter to the Eastern Regional Tourism District.
I'll become a mystic. That's all we talk about.
And I know that. That's why I don't go anymore. And they're terrible.
Eastern tourism.
I move to approve the appointment of Mark Walter to the Eastern Regional Tourism District. Discussion is, I used to go to these, and after 3 meetings, when all they talked about was Mystic. This is Mystic Country, and I would go, where? This is Columbia Country. This is Willimantic Country. We have a lot more in Eastern Connecticut than just Mystic. And they said, yeah, but that's what draws people in. It's like, yeah, it's not a country. So I said, Mark, would you like to go to a meeting? So he's on it now.
Only if they approve.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think you should make Steve go.
Well,
congratulations.
Another meeting.
yeah. The resignation of Robert Morosky from, Robert Morosky has resigned from the Horace Porter School HVAC. He actually said it's, the meetings were too often and too much for him, other things had come up, so. We're not voting on that, right?
Correct. You just, it's for your.
And the resignation of Joshua Andrew as assistant animal control officer. You know, last 2 weeks ago, we brought in a new one. Because we knew Josh was going, it's not enough time for him.
Officially, but he's getting involved.
Town administrator report.
Did you miss? No. No. So I just want to give a quick. Next. Oh, yeah, there it is. 10.1. Everyone see the new grant list that we just published? So the conclusion is that the total grant list went up 1.77%. And of that, we had 4.46% growth in the motor vehicles, 21.52% growth in personal property, and only 0.31% growth in real estate, but that's what we just did a rebound. That's not uncommon at all. So it's good we at least made 1.77%. That'll help. And if there's any further questions, I can always have Mary join us. If you want to get into any of the details of the rebound.
I would like to point out one thing, is that the percentage change in personal property tax declaration run was 21%. But of course, that's from businesses, which only represent what? A very small piece of the pie.
Yeah,
So increasing our business
4%.
presence would be nice. It would help grandmas. Help them.
We have a committee for that. We're gonna-
Always does.
We have a committee for that.
Yeah, I'm busy running a business.
Why you're
I
not-
would love to have a piece of land in town that we can actually build and manufacture to the sun, but there's really nothing here.
And I also want to thank everybody for that special meeting we had to authorize the application for the elected cemetery grant. We got that in the nick of time, and we're trying to get $5,000 upgrade our stone walls and our yard at the old yard. So we could put that to good use. So hopefully we'll get that. And also just some highlights. We're starting the budget process. Next, if I have the calendar in front of me. So basically, the workshops will begin February 21st, 28th, and if needed, March 7th. Because then we have to have the superintendent and I deliver the budget supply pack on March 10th. So right now, just some real rough highlights. I know there's going to be a lot of discussion, and you probably want to decide tonight for the 21st, who you want to call in to the workshop. Right now, your big line items that are affecting your increase. Really, you have group insurance, which is one of the biggest numbers, at $60,000 increase in group insurance. And that's really, we had budgeted 12%, healthcare, now it's down to a 10% increase. Well, unfortunately, we're happy that it's at least not 12, but that's going to be a hit. Fuel costs, heating oil is locked at the moment. But we'll probably be looking to possibly blend that in the spring. Diesel and gasoline and heating oil are all locked at the moment. And electricity is locked out through end of 2024. Yeah, so that's good. Electricity is locked at 6.9%. I have a sense. So luckily, we have a good contract on electricity. And commercial insurance, a big increase is again this year in cyber insurance. Towns are getting hijacked and hacked, so it's been a problem. We're also increasing our security within our own system. Novus is doing a lot with our employees in training. We get helpful flyers every week, and we do. They send us secret. They try to catch us opening a file incorrectly, and then we have to take more training to fail. And we have to take video.
Are there many failures?
I actually failed once.
Yes,
I was rushing.
one failure is too much,
Yeah. One failure
Because
is
it's
true.
especially when they ask for your social security number. You know, it's ridiculous.
mine was,
The hackers are good.
it was clicking on to look at a file, and I rushed it with it. It said you failed. So we're continuing with training. Also another, commercial insurance, well, that was what I was just talking about, the cyber insurance, commercial insurance is going up. That's 12,600, that's not just cyber, but it's also, fiduciary and active assailant. Lab and workers' comp, were not bad. I think, lab was 3 or 4%.
There's a cap of 3%
Yeah,
on the lab.
workers,
The workers' comp might stay flat because you are not really increasing
right.
staffing.
We've got postage going up. Our mileage reimbursement's going up from 62 to 65 cents, 65.5 cents a mile. Information technology overall has a $22,000 increase. And that's tied to cybersecurity and the things I was just talking about. Also, Novus Insight, which is our outsourced IT company, we're using them more and more. We actually had a contract for more in-house visits from Novus, and we also have an online contact, and we also put jobs into an online system. They call us back and remotely help us. So it is working really well. The audit budget is going up 7,000 because we're required to do Gatsby. And we also are taking out of that, we won't do the library audit next year, we did it this year, and we're fine. State trooper budget, I think we can bring it down, we budgeted 186,000. We might be able to bring that down 9 or 10,000, we'll see. The quote we got was lower. We're looking into it.
I have a call into the state.
Cause they got in, cost of living.
Well, we're expecting an increase. Came to law. We don't know about that. Maybe we should ask. The volunteer fire department, we need to talk to them a little more. They're asking for a $14,850 increase due to increased operating costs and mowing, plowing, and sanding of their property. They used to have a lot more retired employees that would help do those kind of things, and they're not receiving that same amount of assistance. They have to subcontract more. So we need to find out more about that. Emergency management, just 2,000 for a possible portable radio. Public Works had a bigger increase, $10,000 due to contracted service repairs and maintenance, and increased grounds maintenance that they've been doing. The transfer station had an increase due to our Casella contract that's going up 8,300 and increased well testing. Planning and zoning had an $11,000 increase because we're subcontracting out the planners role to a company now. And it is working well. There is a little more money than we're used
So you're
to.
putting in the time, he's taking all that time to read the library.
And
He's metropolis.
he's getting stuff done. He's been working out real well because he didn't have to be trained. He's been doing this.
You know what, why don't you, at the next board of selectmen meeting, give us a little rundown of what he's getting done.
Okay. I will. The library came through with a big request for an increase of 28,000, and that was based upon a 4% wage increase and a increase in their cleaning costs. Cleaning costs keep going up again.
Yeah, last year it went up a lot.
Yeah. So I imagine you might want to talk to the library. They were getting a lot of pressure due to the cost of living. In the economy and also,
They handle their own cost of living, right, so, right? We don't do anything to that.
no, that's baked in, they gave their employees a 4% raise. In this year's budget.
That's part of the increase.
Well, now it's being passed on into next year's budget that they're requesting.
So we gave it.
No, they took it out of what they had. And cleaning keeps being a problem for them. I tried to see if we could help them with cleaning, but the problem is when they clean, it's off of our schedule totally. They clean when the library's closed. Contingency, I recommend keeping it at 78,000. It could go up, it could go up as to 2% of the enforcement budget, but 78,000 has been working. Zega Farm asked for a little more money for maintenance of their facilities. Lake management actually had a decrease because we weren't going to buy some equipment. Animal control, we're still reviewing where that's going to end up, but at the moment, we're fine. And the capital plan went up 170,000 because mainly it's set for that backhoe. And backhoe that we didn't have in last year's budget, and also we took money from one of our culverts and transferred it to the engineering for future culverts. So that was a wash, but also we're trying to catch up on our roads, and we were behind what we were spending on roads.
Didn't she ask for about 300,000 for a road?
Road resurfacing went up 240,000. Yeah, so the total increase, we had budgeted in capital 956,000. We're now 170,000 more at 1,127,000. So between operating, which is right now from the board of selectmen side, a $225,000 increase, and capital $170,000 increase. Well, that's going to be tough decisions to talk about. And that doesn't count any adjustment. Anything else, Chris?
The benefits, just an estimate,
Right.
wait for everything else to be fine.
Thank you. Did you talk about this with the board? Or the police extra time for that?
No, because Board of Ed has not come back to us with a recommendation. I don't know if you want to.
Well, nothing to do with the board of. It's the. Can we receive a grant for overtime usage of our state trooper?
Oh, yes,
Did
you're
we
talking
talk
about
about
it. No, we have not.
Please talk about that.
So we applied for a grant and received it. It's over $50,000. Doled out in $5,000 allotments, and we're going to use that for overtime for policing. It's specifically targeted for DUI, but it's overtime to keep people from speeding and obeying our laws.
You want to check that, please?
So
recording.
We're still recording.
So, you know, that's a good thing. Everybody talks about the police coverage that Columbia has and what they like, and, you know, people here, people there, everywhere. Spread it. We'd love to have the safest town in Connecticut, and we're in pretty good shape, but I get it. People speed through the streets, and, you know, catalytic converters are stolen, and it's $5,000 each increment. I'm asking Trooper Picarli to set up speed, watch, whatever. When he says to me after a Wednesday on Whitney Road, I stopped 26 cars. Is 26 too much? So I'm going to work with Trooper DeCarly and direct him to write tickets. Okay, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I want 26 tickets. Next time he stops 26 cars. Unless there's a mitigating circumstance. You know, people do walk on the streets and they jog on the streets. I see people with strollers on the streets. And I see people who do 50 and 60 mile an hour in a 25 zone. A 25 zone. A car ran 3 stop signs down off the Cards Mill. Ran the 3 at Old Willimantic, and then it did the other street. Just ran right through
I didn't tell you.
Okay.
Okay, I just caught 2 teenagers, they're both going for a judge, one over 80 miles an hour, one over 90 miles an hour.
Where?
on the back
On
road.
one of our highways. 6 or 66.
Yeah, he also told me about a couple of people who were doing 60-something miles an hour off of Lake Street. Okay,
On Lake Street?
you can't, I'm not
Fly
having,
down that.
I'm not having. I
That's
want the tickets.
crazy.
I want the tickets, so, and for the gentleman who sent me a text. Asking me when the speed limit went from 25 to 55 on Doubleday Road. Jokingly, but not as a joke. I hear you, I got it, I hear you, I understand, so I couldn't have been happier when I saw we got some money for overtime. For traffic, DUIs, DUIs are one thing.
It's.
I get it, but the speeding, man, we're coming. The tickets are gonna go, I'm telling you, so we've been warned, tell your friends, slow it down. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Correspondence, Canadian, is that problem, Canadian geese, nuisance at Columbia Lake, we're working on it. ARPA funds is off, that poor owl died.
Yes, he did. We made it a few weeks.
I feel like the Dick Van Dyke show, when Dick Van Dyke was on the radio for 100 hours and it was a kitty in a tree. They wouldn't tell him that the kitty died because, you know. I didn't know the owl died. Who told me? Sorry.
How's the cat?
Oh, we got adopted by one of our employees.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, we had a cat right there.
Speedy, that's it. Okay, here we into the money, refunds, no transfers, refunds.
Correct.
Don't have them in here. Here we go. I make a motion to authorize refunds in the amount of. I'm gonna say $10,478.06.
3,848.
Oh, no, that's what it is. Okay, I move to approve refunds totaling $3,848.50.
Yep.
That's that.
Good.
Any discussion? It's right, Mark, it's okay, the wrong one. All those in favor of refunds? Chris?
Yeah.
Opposed, thank you. I move to approve the payment of bills, and with that,
It's in your motion.
I understand, but I like to look down. I move to approve the payment of bills totaling $156,860.64. Consisting of 22.3 emergency, 22.3 regular credit cards and paychecks.
That's your name.
Thank you.
It was, the cost for probate, the same price, it was listed twice.
It was actually the same case, it was printed twice. It's the same voucher number.
Oh,
I did
right.
the exact same thing.
You're right, I'm looking at the different amounts, but that's true. It's, okay.
But totally not.
That's okay.
So is that like a prorated share depending on size of our town or number of population compared to the other towns that share the probate court?
Yeah, it's based on per
It's
capita.
not per usage, right? I mean,
No, it's per capita.
Annual.
So we pay 5,000 annually. I just saw the page.
That's super reasonable.
So I saw all these insulated foam board, just curious what they were there for.
That's the new
DPW, so that's moving along.
Yes, they're about to do, we opened the electrical buildings Thursday, they're about to put the roofing, metal roofing on
That's great.
inside.
Forgot the wedding here.
Yes,
We paid for the injured cat?
yeah, we have a fund for that, folks.
Oh, that's nice.
We cap it.
Where did we find the injured cat?
Right out in front of, by the gazebo. Dan was coming along, and saw him laying in the road, it was live, and took to the vet,
That's what you should do.
we rescued him.
All right, motion's on the floor. All those in favor of paying bills? Aye.
Aye.
Chris? Thank you. Opposed? Excellent. So, audience of citizens. There's a lot of people on the Zoom. Anybody? Any hands up?
I don't see any.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Good. Gentlemen, you're still in here. God bless you. They're on the committee.
We'll get the t-shirts next.
Board member comment.
I did have one. I did have one question on the budget, which was on paying for the 501c3 for mono state.
Friends of mine.
Fred, thank you. Do we typically do that? Have we ever done that before?
Well, they're they're volunteers for helping with our state fund.
I understand, but then shouldn't they be a committee?
They are.
They are,
No, it is a committee that is appointed as to appointing themselves. So as a 501c3, they're an independent. I knew there was something, I apologize for not getting that. They're a 501c3, they're their own entity. I don't understand why we're paying for them. Because then, to me, that's, do we do that for anybody else? What are we paying for?
it was
We're paying-
prepared,
They're applying to be a 501c3. It's like $500, $450.
their costs of their legal fees to become a 501c3.
And I don't
Is that a
understand.
one-time expense? We're not gonna be asked to.
It's a bunch of issues.
Well, but that's not my point is, if they want, and I don't have a problem with having that be part of the town, but 501c3 is kind of not part of the town. We have no control over what they do or say, and so if we don't, why are we paying for them?
What kind of status does that give people?
Well, it makes them a nonprofit,
They're nonprofit.
but they're representing Columbia with the state to try to figure out how to make Monopond State Park better.
They're separate.
But, I mean, they can do whatever
They
they
can
want,
fundraise.
but they can do whatever they want. If we don't like what they're doing, all it's tough to see, town of Columbia.
But we're also partnership with the management plan that has to be written to run the state park. So we are,
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the 501c3. It doesn't seem right, it just struck me as the town,
now, one of the members paid for it himself.
I understand that. But if it's like, we don't pay for Joshua Trust to keep their stuff,
Correct.
they do their own thing. There's the burial grounds.
Are we setting a precedence by paying them?
That's, I don't know.
How
if
much
it's-
is it?
It's not much,
500,
Under $500, like $450 or something like that.
yeah.
It's a good question, though.
I just wasn't comfortable with it. It just seemed odd to me.
Because if we do it for them, we'd have to do it for other agencies,
Right.
for sure.
I mean, if they want to take up a
What's the
collection,
resolution on this?
You want to revisit payment of bills, is that what you want to do?
Yeah, you have to revisit payment of bills, you have to pull that, separate that one out, and whether you want to discuss whether you want to approve payment or not. If you don't approve payment, then it will be voided tomorrow. No,
I'm concerned about setting a precedent, so. we want to-
I have to do a motion to revisit, like,
Okay, I make a motion to revisit payment of bills, all those in favor? Aye, great. Where am I looking for this?
Where is it?
I don't remember. See me, emergency.
On page 2?
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
Town of Brad.
Yep.
451.
Yes.
So we have to make a motion to remove that for discussion
Yes.
and pay all pay
Yes.
bills.
pay the rest and then discuss that one separate.
Okay, so that's what I'm gonna make a motion that we remove item 0601, is that the date? No, 060113. Startup cost for 501c3, $451.51. Remove that payment of bills for future discussion and move to pay the remainder of the bills. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We're gonna line that out. Can I just line that up in here?
You line it out after you vote,
We just did.
so did you vote, you voted to
Move it for discussion for another time.
discussion. So you want me to basically hold the check and so you talk about it in the next meeting, or do you want me, do you want a motion to void the check and then table it for another discussion? Or you discuss it now? and make
I
it-
think I'd like to discuss it now, because the guy's waiting for his 451
Yes,
dollars.
sure. So now you want to pay the rest, it's all set, so now you're gonna focus on that one payment. And then you discuss, and then you put a motion whether you're going to approve it, and if you're not gonna approve it, then I will void it out. And then we'll do that.
Now, how would that benefit the community? Just,
Well, the only difference I see between Joshua's trust is Joshua's trust doesn't ask the town for anything. We're not,
Well, but there's the burial grounds, you know, you've got, it could be anybody. You know, save the eagle.
But let me ask you a question. There are charities out there that ask for our donation. And we pay. We have a list of them. Is this not in the same realm of
Well,
that?
but I would think you put it under something different,
Yes.
right?
So,
Right, it could be a grant.
so like in next year's budget, there is a grant being proposed to give this group $2,000. So that's for them to use for whatever start or whatever they want to use it for, like giving the same thing to them.
How do we award this endeavor, $451.51, such as other charitable contributions?
So you would basically what they have to do is it's not a reimbursement. You probably have to get a formal letter from them saying you'd like a grant this year.
Say for $500.
yeah,
They have to send in a separate submission, and then after that, once they get the money, it's up to them how they
Spend it.
spend it.
so we could ask them, what do they need to get through this till July 1?
They have to request, and then you have to approve the grant, and then we have to, then we write the check.
Thank you.
That's more comfortable.
yeah, I agree, I think it's.
You know, and it would just mean, yeah. It would just be,
I knew there was something else and I just couldn't.
yes, we would just, what we do is propose a transfer from another line or something to cover the grant, and then go forward with it. So now you have to vote.
So you will vote when he brings it in, right?
So what you're gonna do, so the final thing is, so you're basically, you're telling me you're not paying the 451, so your vote is to basically
Cancel the check.
cancel the check.
Right. Make a motion, we cancel the check for 451.51. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, just give Tom a call, please, and just tell him, he'll understand, that we'll get, they're gonna cut, okay? Thank you, thank you. You know. All right, I'm sorry, other than that, do you have any more comments, Lisa?
Do you have to change the amount where that was-
No?
So for the next budget workshop, did we have to identify some of the groups that we need to manage that part of what we?
We'll take a look if
Yeah,
you,
that would be part of our workshop.
Okay.
Talking about grades,
For next.
right, for that.
He's talking about groups to come in, departments or.
Right.
Grant.
Oh, who we want to come in.
Because we only have 2 workshops, right?
Right, so
One's
maybe-
tentative, and then we've got the March meeting, and we have to vote.
Maybe DPW.
Yeah, I'd say it's DPW, fire department,
Right.
Library.
they want the library,
Library.
DPW, library, fire department,
Libraries, right?
and,
I wanted rec.
you might want rec, right, because and that rec should probably be an executive session, month for that is, discuss. Wage,
But that would be a separate, that's a separate thing.
that's a separate. It'd be part of a workshop, executive session, normally we don't, but,
We don't usually, well, it's up to you if you want to bring them in or just have.
well, we could do that in our next week, the next portion.
So one question I do have on the draft budget right now, I sent you an email earlier about the Hot River Preserve and Crestwood budget. Is that something that we rolled up into an existing account like conservation? Or was I?
Yeah.
That being said, okay.
That'd be in conservation, so that'd be, conservation executive farm is another discussion to have, because they both requested some extra money.
Did you need more details as far as how we come up with that number or?
I'll talk to you, I'll find, so I present that to the board.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's one request from the farm that you approved at 1,800. I gotta verify that. Take that to that farmer, to help get his field up and running.
Gotta talk to him.
we already did.
No, I need to, as a person.
All right.
So I've got a lot to do.
Chris, any more comments? Bill? Judy? I said, 4 weeks ago or whatever in December, I told you this budget season wasn't gonna be an easy one. So,
Well, did you include the little pay with the revised amount?
Right here.
yeah,
Oh, they did revise? Okay, good.
all right, yeah, that's it. Nothing else. All set? Excellent. We do not need executive session? No, sir. Wonderful. We'll make a motion that we adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
So my. And my, which is like, well.
Really?
Fine.